All right, all right, all right. What's up, guys? As you can see, today we're gonna be watching Iran's leader talk about the ceasefire that he rejected from Trump, and we're gonna be listening to Myron talk to an Iranian that's actually in Iran right now, kind of like Propaganda and Co. If we have enough time, we might watch Propaganda and Co. Just because we know he's there as well. But yeah, just because he's actually talking to everybody, people on the streets of Iran, we might actually watch him as well. But yeah, we'll be getting into that today. So let's get right into.
The bitch shaking it, showing it. You this, you that. We laughing at them together. Oh! So stop treating these mother like they mean something.
Let's go to TikTok. All right. Now, first thing first. Hold up. Let me see where that news station is at. Indian. It's an Indian news channel. Okay, okay. So it's not even really Iranian, it's really Indian, the Indian news channel.
The war in West Asia continues to escalate, both in terms of the scale, also the wider impact. In fact, Israel has just approved the call-up of up to 400,000 reservists, while the U.S. is planning to deploy around 3,000 elite troops towards the region.
Now remember, we was supposed to be having boots on the ground.
And amid this increased military deployment, Iran has drawn a hard red line. According to Iranian state TV, Tehran has reviewed Donald Trump's peace proposal and deems it excessive. Iran has, in fact, outlined 5 key conditions under which Tehran would consider ending the war. The first condition, calling for an immediate halt as far as all attacks and targeted assassinations are concerned. Tehran is also demanding guaranteed and clearly defined compensation for war damages and reparations. That's not all. It insists on a comprehensive end to the conflict across all fronts, along with international recognition and firm guarantees of its sovereign rights over the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has further made it clear that it will not allow the United States or Trump to dictate the timing of the war's conclusion, maintaining that the conflict will end only on its own terms. So that's a red line, and only when its conditions are fully met. That's not all. In a significant message to Washington, Iran is...
Basically, they're like, just say you're sorry and, get on your knees. Which is understandable because we destroyed a lot of their shit and killed a lot of important people.
Not just denying talks. Rather, Iran's military saying the United States is trying to rebrand failure.
But doing that would make the U.S. look weak, and Trump doesn't want to look weak.
As diplomacy. And
especially with China looming around.
Empty promises is over. Listen to this.
Do not call your defeat an agreement. The era of your promises is over. Today, there are 2 fronts in the world, truth and falsehood, and any free seeker of truth will not be deceived by your media waves. Has the level of your internal discord reached the point where you are negotiating with yourselves?
Yeah, anybody who has a fucking brain is definitely not watching mainstream media for this type of shit. They're not, like, anybody with a brain, though. That's, like, you're not watching Fox, CNN. You're not watching none of them niggas. BBC, none of them niggas.
Now, just to break this down, this is among Iran's latest rejections yet of any talks with the United States. Even as claims of back-channel diplomacy from the U.S. grow louder, because on the other side, U.S. President Donald Trump continuing to insist negotiations are very much on. Listen to this now.
Negotiations right now. They're doing it along with Marco, JD. We have a number of people doing it. And the other side, I can tell you, they'd like to make a deal.
See? Mainstream media right there. If you don't come to YouTube and look for different media outlets that are reporting on the Iran news, you would never see that. You would just see Trump saying dumb shit like that. Like, yeah, talks are going great. They definitely want to talk. Like, and Iran is literally like, bro, we're not doing none of that shit unless you say sorry, give us our money back, compensate us, give us our sovereignty over that strait. We're not stopping until the war gonna end when it end. That's basically what they said. When somebody give up, that's when we all dead, basically, that's when it'll end. So it's like, it's so easy to be tricked and lied to by the media. I don't know how people just watch mainstream media anymore.
The war on the ground, meanwhile, further intensifying. Israel claiming it has struck deep inside Iran, targeting a critical submarine development facility in Isfahan, described as a key hub for naval systems and unmanned vessels. 2 more strikes, it claims, hit naval cruise missile production sites in Tehran, aimed at disrupting long-range weapons capabilities. In neighboring Iraq, an airstrike hit a military clinic in Anbar province, killing at least 7 soldiers and injuring 13. Iraq calls it a blatant violation of international law. No group, in fact, has claimed responsibility so far. Mourners and Iraqi soldiers gathered at a teaching hospital as the bodies of the soldiers killed in the airstrike were brought in.
How long will we stay like this? We are losing our sons every day. They say the airstrikes are just on the popular mobilization forces, but those are security forces. The Iraqi army is being hit, and these victims are dying. What did they do to deserve this? What did they do to deserve this?
And inside Iran,
that's why I don't like war, because war hurts everybody. It don't just hurt us. It's hurting everybody because somebody got to die. So this
the humanitarian crisis is only deepening. According to Iranian authorities, at least 20 hospitals have been hit since the 28th of February. Those are the numbers on your screen, just to look at the region. 9 reportedly partially or fully out of service, including Tehran's Gandhi Hospital, which has shut down completely. At sea, meanwhile, tensions are rising even further. Iran claims it fired cruise missiles at the U.S. aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, forcing it to change position. And there is still no confirmation from the United States on the issue. Iran's Revolutionary Guards also claiming missile and drone strikes on U.S. bases in Kuwait, Jordan, Bahrain, along with attacks on Israeli targets. In Kuwait, meanwhile, a drone strike sent a massive plume of smoke over Kuwait International Airport. Those are the images. Kuwaiti authorities saying multiple drones were shot down, but one hit a fuel tank, sparking a fire.
So all it takes is one to hit. They send 1 billion of them shits out. Just takes one to hit.
According to a British think tank, the first 2 weeks of the war have come at a staggering cost. Over 11,000 munitions fired in just 16 days, costing around $26 billion, with expensive interceptors being used to shoot down far cheaper drones. And replacing these stockpiles could cost more than double. So the war in West Asia continues to expand militarily, geographically, politically, with every passing day. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Okay. Telling you guys. It's only going to get more embarrassing the harder Trump tries to get into Iran and destroy Iran because, like I said, Iran has a foothold on everybody, not just America. So they're pressuring everybody to either help them, persuade America to leave them alone, or fight. And the only group I'm really scared about is Israel because they're the ones who are the most like afraid, feel backed into a corner, will do anything to survive. So you never know what they would do to end or try to end the war. Because, like they said, he's gonna keep going till they want to. They're gonna till the end. It's gonna end when it ends. So, but yeah, let's now let's watch But yeah, as you can see, that was a great example of why you do not trust the mainstream media, and you need to go online and research for your own and look up your own shit to figure out what's going on because blatant lie by Trump. Yeah, we're doing good talks. We're talking. We're definitely at the table. They definitely want to do. They definitely are having good talks. Like, just fucking lying. Shit is crazy. But yeah, let's get right to it.
Question for you.
Yep.
Because I remember on like day one of the, not day one of the war, but on the opening couple of days of the conflict, there was reports that they got hit with 4 missiles. Is that the same? Are you talking about the same incident, or was this more recent within the last couple of days?
No, that was the one from the first few days where 3 F-15s were, 3 friendly fire incidents. No American military analyst believes that. Maybe 1, but not 3. And then that was in Kuwait, and it was struck by Iran. That's what they claim. And then F-18 as well, they claim crashed. And then there was another fighter jet incident. There was like 5 total. Those are confirmed, but the U.S. keeps saying it's friendly fire or they just crashed.
Yeah, because I remember when they said that Kuwaiti air defense accidentally shot down a couple of F-15s. They obviously were able to eject safely, use their parachutes, etc. We got pictures of those pilots that survived. But I do remember in the first couple, of days, within like the first 72 hours or so, there was reports of, the Iranians shot ballistic missiles at one of the aircraft carriers. Obviously, the U.S. said that's not true, and I remember they put out a bunch of pictures and videos of the aircraft carrier jets taking.
And we just watched it because this was 5 hours ago. They did shoot at the aircraft carrier because they had to move positions. At the U.S. Abraham because they had to move positions. Dav, I see you with the follow, brother. They had to move positions, so we know that's true. That they shot at the America lying about something again. Like they just keep. That's why I'm trying to tell you. That's why you got to do your own research because niggas will just lie to your face and be like, believe it. Motherfucker, believe it, like Naruto. Like, believe it.
Say that it wasn't true, but what you're saying is, I guess it was true, and that's why they repositioned. But because I remember for a few days we didn't know where they were. So would it be fair to say that they repositioned a while ago? It's just that we're finding out about them repositioning a while ago now.
Well, they shut the transponders off. They're keeping it low key, so
of course,
but there may be along the Gulf of Oman. That's what they're claiming. But yeah, they haven't repositioned. And again, if they're in positions of authority, well, why do you have no leave?
Yeah,
and these are, I believe, nuclear powered aircraft carriers, so they're not there to refuel, right? So
yeah, they are, and that's why I was very because I remember I remember the story broke. I remember Suleiman had told me like, hey, 4 missiles came through and hit one of the aircraft carriers, and I was skeptical. I was like, I don't know if that's true. And then obviously
I don't know, and I don't think they said it hit the aircraft carrier. I just think it said it made them reposition.
Aircraft carriers kind of went silent. Nobody knew where the hell they were. And then now we're finally getting the reports that both of them repositioned. So that might be what it is. Or it could be, maybe they shot them down and they just got spooked or whatever. But I would say at this point, it's at least fair to say that the Iranians are posing a threat to both aircraft carriers, which is why they backed up, which, I guess is a part of the, it's a W for them. But it's just interesting because both sides are obviously, pushing out propaganda. I know for a fact the United States is underreporting casualties and damage. I know for a fact that like the day that Kuwait was hit the first day, they only reported, I think, 4 servicemen were killed. But we know somewhere around 140, 150 people were actually injured that day. And we know this because there was some pretty consistent reporting.
And you got to understand, them niggas are just saying injured. them niggas could be on death's bed, barely like on life support, like literally on fucking a ventilator, barely breathing, and they'll say wounded.
From Kuwaiti hospitals that American soldiers like were there in droves. Well over 100 were injured, pretty seriously injured too. But obviously the U.S. government didn't report it until like a couple of days ago. We found out, oh yeah, 150 soldiers were injured, blah, 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 because I guess they couldn't contain it anymore. So they were absolutely holding back, information. And then someone else in my community was telling me, pretty much confirmed, and I trust his judgment on this because he's been pretty accurate about other stuff, that there's another 5 to 6 soldiers that have been killed that they're not reporting, and there's a bunch of missing soldiers that went AWOL that they don't know where they are. So the U.S. government is absolutely, underreporting things, and we know this is the fog of war. They don't want people to know. They want to keep morale high, etc. Also, I've heard from multiple people that they're starting to mobilize more resources in the U.S. They're calling up people, a lot of them for support positions in the Middle East. So and obviously we know on the Iranian side, right? They're pushing out propaganda as well. They said they sunk an aircraft carrier and all this other shit. So both sides are going to push out their propaganda, and typically the truth is somewhere in the middle. But yeah, it's just very interesting to see all of this kind of play.
I gotta text my boy. He is definitely in the military. I gotta text. I forgot who else I gotta talk to. That's in the military. One of my niggas. But yeah, I'm trying to tell you guys, they are, and they're gonna keep sending y'all, and they're gonna keep sending us, because I'm a part of that too. Because if they start drafting and my name magically get picked up, I can't just say no, or I go to fucking jail. They're gonna keep sending us till there's no, like, they don't care. We're just numbers to these niggas. That's why it's like the only way we could really get a change is if the military stopped listening to high command, and we was able to take something over. But if they have the power of the military, they can stop whatever they want to stop. They can stop any revolution or whatever. So even though I'm not calling for revolution or nothing like that, anything violent, I'm just saying you wouldn't be able to even proceed with anything like that because they have the military. The government has the military, and then the military has the weapons and the equipment to calm the storm of the rebels.
Play out. But I can say one thing is the United States absolutely underestimated the Iranians. I think at this point we can all confidently say that. It went from a 4-day conflict to a 4-week conflict to an 8-week conflict, and now we're looking at them potentially pushing this all the way to the midterms. Which I think that the Iranians absolutely have the capability of doing that. I keep seeing Hegseth and other talking heads saying, oh well, 90% of the ballistic missiles have been depleted or blah blah.
But that's what scares me too, is because imagine if Iran could do this for the next 4 years, right? You think Trump is gonna back out of the war? Like, I don't think he's a I don't take no for an answer type of nigga. So he's not gonna want to back down his whole term. It might take another president to get us out of Iran, because he doesn't want to live up and take accountability for listening to Israel and following them.
Oh, man. And
I hope that doesn't happen.
The gross error of conflating the fact that the barrages aren't as voluminous as that being them running out of stockpile. What I think that is more than likely is they used a bunch of their capabilities in the beginning to kind of get the interceptor missiles down. The interceptor missiles are down, and now they're being a bit more strategic and direct with their hits, right? We know that they've taken out a lot of the military bases all across the Middle East, which is half the battle. They've destroyed a significant amount of very sophisticated radars. We're talking about billions of dollars worth of damage. We've seen them start to do,
Remember, they destroyed 2 THAAD radars. Those are billions dollars. Those are $2 billion radars that are for interceptor missiles that they damaged or either broke, and it don't take seconds to repair.
Strikes.
Those take years to fix.
I gave this prediction like a day or two ago, and I'll say it again here for the people that are kind of new and not familiar with my stuff.
Or a remake.
That once they're pretty certain that interceptors are fairly depleted, and more than likely, I would say watch out for a 3-pronged ballistic missile barrage from the east, obviously with the Iranians, the north, Hezbollah, and then from the south with the Houthis. The Houthis haven't really been fully activated yet. I know that there's some rumors of them coming in anytime shortly now, if they haven't already been activated. So we'll see what happens, man. And I think that will be, I was talking about this with my brother earlier.
And like I was saying on Monday, the Houthis control that strait at the bottom of at the bottom of Yemen. So right here, the Houthis control this strait right here, guys. Right here, this strait right here, the Houthis, Iran controls it basically. So the Houthis could close this up because they're fucking pirates. So they could close this shit up right here, and there'd be no more access to the Suez Canal. So that would really fuck what's it called? Israel, because there'd be no more access to the yeah, I'm about to say the Suez is right here. Yeah, there'd be no more access to the Suez Canal. I thought I was tripping.
I truly do think that this was probably one of the biggest and geopolitical blunders I've witnessed in my lifetime. I think that this is worse than Iraq, because at least in Iraq, George Bush and the neocons had a little bit of the political backing to do it because they had the 9/11 excuse. Dude, this one is a war that we started that no one wanted, and we're feeling the effects of it immediately. You know, people forget that when we attacked Iraq, it took Iraq several months to actually mount a retaliation. It took them about 5 months to hit the United States back where they actually felt it. This time around, the Iranians hit back within an hour, which is incredible.
Quick.
So I don't know. This is just not good. This is not good. This is the worst blunder, worst misstep I've ever seen. And the fact that Donald Trump knew literally days before the attack that there was a very low likelihood of actually getting any type of regime change from many of his intelligence components within the U.S. government, he still went through with the attack. It's incredible, dude. You know, there's and the thing that kills me, just for those that are wondering too, like I like Donald Trump. I'm not some
His eyes light up.
I'm not a leftist. I'm not a liberal. I think they're all. I would consider myself more on the right.
Shout out to Frank and Christopher in the chat. Frank is a definite what's it called? I see Frank all the time. So I love Frank. Frank is one of the goats of the page, one of my goated followers. So if you ever see Frank, he will always get pinned up because he's one of the goats. He always makes sense when he's talking, even if he's disagreeing. He always making sense. You know, he's always bringing good points. So Frank is one of the goats. Shout out to Chris chatting up. I want to say, for example, like Frank, because I don't know how many times I've seen Chris, but like Frank, I definitely will read Frank's chats as soon as he come in here. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Frank, like I said, Frank's the GOAT. I don't really see too many other people besides Frank. So like Frank, I definitely will read his chats in here. He doesn't have to super chat for that. Everybody else has to super chat though. So don't look at me crazy, okay, guys? Just in case I'm not reading every damn chat, but since it's just YouTube, like I said, that was fine for today.
Right wing, but I got to be honest, when push comes to shove, and this is like just a huge blunder. This is one of the biggest mistakes I've ever seen a president make, and this is going to have some very serious consequences at worst.
And the worst part is, the reason I feel like let me stop saying I feel. The reason I think he did this is because of what Israel might have. Like, there's no reason for him to just go to war with Iran. There's no reason to forcibly go to war with Iran, especially with with how fast we did Venezuela. We don't really need oil from Iran. There's no reason for us to really go to Iran right now because we really need to be building infrastructure in Venezuela so that we can make oil out of there quicker. The only reason we went to war with Iran is because of Israel. So it's like, it has to be something that Israel has on him that he just had to do this. Or Israel saved him and he had to do this. So
we're talking about market crashes.
And when I mean saved him, I'm talking about before he got elected, he was about to get indicted, and then Israel was like, "Hey, we'll help you win this election if you go to war with Iran."
We're talking about 120 to $200 barrels of oil, of crude. We're talking about economic collapse. We're talking about energy prices in general soaring just off Qatar, closing down the LNG. This is a big, and it amazes me because for all the Americans that are here, I look at a lot of these American YouTubers. They're over here like, yeah, America, fuck yeah, we're destroying these guys. We're winning militarily, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, yeah, dude, none of that matters because like gas is like $6 a gallon in LA. Like, are you serious? Like, are you? So this is just a big L. And then at best, right? Worst is obviously that what we're going right now, which is like with all the price crashes and the energy Armageddon that we got going on, which is worse than since the 1973 Arab embargo or whatever with oil. At best, we're not going to have a presence in the region anymore, and that's if we're lucky. Because I really don't foresee the Gulf.
But even that, like he said, at best we're not going to have a presence. At best, we're not even going to be able to look across the ocean. Okay, Iran is making everybody hate us, not just the Gulf Coast, not just the Gulf Coast countries. Everybody, China, Russia, anybody that's getting anything from the Strait or from Iran, they're making them hate us. So the only people who might like us are the niggas in North America. Like, that's about it.
Countries being able to allow us to maintain the military presence that we're maintaining there right now. Because think about it. If the whole reason we were there was to protect them, and now that the rubber's meeting the road and we're not protecting them, like, they're going to be like, dude, get the fuck out of here. Like, you guys are literally the reason why we got attacked. You guys are literally the reason why we can't get our energy out of the fuck. You guys are literally the reason why our tourism is sinking. You guys are literally the reason why, real estate property in the UAE
niggas meet ball
right now is crashed by
nigga dressed up as ball.
So these are Gulf states that literally prided themselves on safety and stability within a very volatile region. And within the past couple of weeks, their world has literally been shifted upside down. This is something that, for those that aren't familiar with the Gulf, like the Gulf is literally like America but cleaner and no. It's awesome. If anyone's ever been to Dubai or Qatar, any of these places, but that's what they model their country on. So the fact that safety has been kind of removed, their energy, their ability to create revenue for their country with energy has been removed. I just don't see us being able to project power in the Middle East like we used to be able before. And I would say
and what makes it worse is when the U.S. would project power, it wasn't us going out and hurting, or not even hurting, or like doing anything. It was just saying, don't make us, don't make us. And it's like when you do the don't make us, don't make me come over there. Once you go over there, you have to go all the way in because he done made you come over. You see what I'm saying? So it's like if the U.S. had planned this out a little bit better and didn't get so jumpy with like I said, if something they have to have something on Trump, because he's like, he just, I don't know how you can just go and then lying the whole way through, knowing they're going to send troops in, knowing they're going to do regime change, not just trying to kill the leaders. Like, I'm telling you, something they got this nigga by the balls.
Way that
and the BB clan.
That kind of presence in the Gulf after this historic blunder by the Trump administration would be we would need to effectuate a regime change. And let's be honest, I think everyone in here in this space at this point realizes that we're not going to get no regime change because that would require boots on ground, and we're just simply not going to do that. The American
we just watched from the Indian news outlet, they're arming 3,000 Americans for boots on the ground. 3,000.
Public does not have the stomach for it. Even the biggest MAGA understand that boots on the ground is a failure. So if we're not going to effectuate a regime change, the Gulf states have absolutely no reason to keep us in the region, especially since one of the demands that was made by the Iranian government as of the past 48 to 72 hours was we need Americans out of the region. We don't want them in the region. We want reparations. We want reparations. We want sanctions relief. We want payment for all the destruction the Americans did.
And the sovereignty.
We want the right to be able to exist and arm ourselves and defend ourselves and not be attacked again. And we want all of the American bases out of the region. And I just don't foresee a scenario where the Gulf states would allow us to maintain that type of military presence in their backyard and make themselves make themselves targets for the Iranians again. I think this creates openings for maybe the Chinese or the Russians to come in and swoop in. And if we do have a presence in the region with the Iranians still in.
Now, do I think that the Iranians would make us move our bases? No. Do I think that they would make us like not disarm our bases but make them less capable? Maybe. But I don't think they would make us move our bases though. Cuz that would have to deal with the Gulf countries, but the Gulf countries are getting blown up. So why would you want the military bases there to begin with? Because they're not protecting you.
it would be extremely limited. It would be maybe from a defensive
Exactly.
posture only if we're lucky. So that's what I
Be-
foresee is going to happen here. And I think Trump has his back up against the wall, and there's not many options he has to get out of this. And I know he's looking for political off ramp, but I don't think the Iranians are going to get
with absolute with absolute with absolute crazy terrain. Like the terrain is disgusting, absolute disgusting terrain, mountainous, hill. It's just the Iranian terrain to invade is just fucking unbearable for real.
give it to him. He said on Air Force One today, oh, they're begging to make a deal. They want to make a deal. That's a fucking lie, dude. And all these Twitter like Eric Daugherty that are saying, like, believing that, or there is no.
And we just watched the Iranian military leader come out and say, we're not making any deals. We told the U.S. what's going on. It is what it is. We just watched that.
The Iranians are not going to set a deal until the reason why the conflict is happening in the first place is solved. But I'll land it there.
Yeah, look, I don't disagree with a lot of those points. I'd say part of the blunder is continuing to underestimate Iran, and you even see Dan Kane say it when he states that the missile volume coming out of Iran has been reduced, and that's because they're using more sophisticated missiles.
Exactly.
Like the Khyber Shekan, which has 80 submunitions that Israel's crying about, claiming they're like cluster bombs, even though they used over 1 million cluster bombs against Lebanon alone, and they admitted that. They also used them against Palestinians. So they're complaining it's a war crime to use that type of weapon, even though neither country is a signatory to that weapons convention that other countries have signed off on. So they're allowed to use it. So I mean, if one missile can do the job of 80, why do they need to send up 30, 40 missiles? They're going to be smart and conservative with their missile stock because they're not planning on a several-week conflict. They're planning on a several-month or several-year conflict. And rumor has it, no one knows for sure what they really have. They may have 250,000 missiles because Hezbollah has about half that, 125. So they have a ton, and they make missiles and drones like matches. Remember, they have their own military.
And that's the thing. It takes for Iran to make a missile. They can make 10 missiles in a month, while we can only make one. Okay, so think about that. So this month last month they made 10. We just made one interceptor missile for them 10 missiles. So
industrial complex, and they have all the input.
And that's what I say. They have the industry for them to. It's like we don't like. And the problem with us is we don't have the industry that's building the weapons. We have to get our weapons from everywhere else. So we're getting weapons from Ukraine. I forgot where else he was trying to. We might get South Korea. We gotta get weapons from other people. They're making their shit at home, right in the base.
Puts themselves. So even if they somehow get, if there's some kind of blockade imposed on them, they can still continue building what they need. And Russia's right next door if they need.
North Korea, China, Russia, and India as allies. Facts. This was the news outlet that we was watching was an Indian outlet news too. So.
Anything, and they're monitoring closely Russia and
China. That's why it also kind of scares me because, well, not scare me, but it kind of brings me to know is that because they get a lot of stuff from them and export a lot of stuff to them as well. So them closing the strait, even though they have it open for them, like for them to go, like because I know they've been letting China come through with their ships or whatever. If say America was to attack one of their ships or something like that, imagine how that would affect them coming into the war because America didn't want anybody going through the strait if nobody could go through the strait. It just is a lot of stuff with more players involved. It's a lot of stuff that could be done.
And they're providing all kinds of valuable military intel on targets, so they're not wasting much. And like we both agree on, Israel's admitted this. Multiple of their politicians admitted they're now at a critical level for interceptor missiles. So if they can't defend their assets, that's already a sign of a loss. So I don't see an off-ramp either. I think once Iran achieves its targets, then they'll discuss something. It may just be terms of surrender. Same thing is what they're trying to do with Russia, Ukraine. Discuss terms of surrender, but they can't get Zelensky and NATO to go along with that. So that's another perpetual war for now. You're going to say something?
No, I mean, those are all very good points. And I think, because if I'm not mistaken, prior to the conflict, they estimated that they had a stockpile of somewhere between 2,000 to 3,000. I agree with you that it's probably far more than that. I know for a fact, for example, the Fatah 1, they started mass producing that after the 12-day war. They literally, that was one of the, capabilities that they enhanced significantly. And obviously we know they have the Fatah 2, which is near unstoppable. And then also I saw today many different people posting it that they used a new missile. I think they debuted it today. It's the Sigil. Yes, the Sigil, which, if I'm not mistaken, is one of their bigger
a new missile,
right, with a bigger warhead.
God damn it. We are
warhead. So it's one of their.
We are almost how many days into this war? What day did Iran? February 28th. So we're almost a month into this war, and Iran is just now whipping out a new missile. All right? Like, keep up. This is a month in. Niggas is whipping out new missiles a month in.
They're heavier ones. Not even their biggest payload. They've got heavier. It's got a bigger range, up to 4,000 kilometers, which they don't need. It's a mid-range missile.
Look what I had, guys. Look what I had in my back pocket. Like, brand new shit.
That has done some
like,
serious
what the fuck?
damage. But
imagine.
Because there's a media blackout in you don't get to see the extent of the damage and what's really happened. The only time they speak out, and I put up all the interviews they've done, both from, what was it, Gideon Sar, the foreign minister, and also the Israeli president when he was crying, because they'll only admit they've been struck when it's a residential target. They don't want to admit, say, like when their airfields get struck, like Nevatim, which houses F-35s, or for instance, their ports like Haifa. Those are all strategic sites. Those they just want to deny and claim like everything's fine. And anytime I get Israelis up on the space, they want to claim their air defense systems are like 90% or 100%. Literally, that's what they say. It's not even the engineers claim, and not even the engineers from, you know, the U.S. military-industrial complex claim air defense systems are 100%. But yet these Israelis want to claim that. You know,
and they're in an X space right now. The guy that's talking is over here. He's talking right here. His name is Truth, I think, something like that. Truth something.
Yeah, they're like impenetrable, which is just. And there's no answer for the hypersonics anyway, so why lie? But you're hiding their losses anyway.
No, I really, man, I wish we had someone that lives in Tel Aviv or something like that to tell us what the hell is going on, because I am truly curious as to what's going on. I know we've all seen images here and there. We've seen, you know, images hitting everything else like that, but I'd like to see like what the hell is going on, because what I've noticed with that is, number one, only certain people are allowed to photograph and or record the damage. One of them is the loser Yosef Haddad, who I'm sure all of you guys are familiar with here that are speakers, but for those that aren't, he's basically, I call him like the propaganda god for Israel, because he fits every archetype. He's an Arab Israeli, he speaks Arabic, he speaks Hebrew, obviously a hardcore Zionist. He's kind of like Mossab Youssef, aka the son of Hamas, and these guys are like the two big talking heads that are pro-Israel, that are Arabs that they use. I'm sure there's others too, but those are like the two most prominent ones. And the only people I've seen that like are actually like fully documenting a lot of the damage, at least on social media that I've seen, are like Yosef Haddad and stuff like that. And they're purposely making sure that he's documenting damage in civilian areas to paint a certain narrative. They're obviously not going to show when strategic locations and military locations are being hit. But I'm very curious to see how badly the Israelis are getting hit, because
Israel's on a like an internet lockdown.
This censorship that they have going on, I got to give them credit. Like, they're doing a pretty good job of doing the censorship. I think they learned from the 12-day war, because during the 12-day war, they also implemented kind of like a blackout, but it wasn't to this level. But from what I've heard from multiple people, they're obviously getting up, but I want to know what the extent of the damage is, and like what places are getting hit. Last time around, I think it's pretty safe to say, Truth, correct me if I'm wrong, on a 12-day war, I know they hit an Amman base, they hit a Mossad base, I think they hit some type of offsite for Shin Bet, and I think they hit something for the IDF, or maybe it was even Unit 8200 maybe, but
yeah, it was both.
Okay, both, right? Yeah.
And I believe the IDF one was under a hospital, which they cried hard about. But like you said, they didn't implement the media blackout until later there, whereas now they did it right from day one.
Yeah.
By the way, Myron, there's one piece of evidence that shows they've been hit hard. That's there's been over 9,000 insurance claims to date. They won't specify what for.
Oh.
That just goes to show. Yeah, that I have evidence of. That's Israel has made that claim. I can
That's clever.
Put that up in the nest or send it to you. Yeah, so that's a piece of
DM me
evidence.
that, dude. That's actually really clever.
So,
wow. Okay.
For what it's worth, you know how they are with the insurance.
Yeah. They got to get their money immediately.
I don't want to jump to any conclusions here.
I forgot. What's his name? Took out another insurance for another building, and it might be in Florida, I think.
But the Jews don't exactly have the best reputation.
Hey, W Insurance, okay?
The 9/11,
honesty, right?
the World Trade Center guy.
They have an opportunity to exaggerate to make a few bucks more.
Dude,
the Twin Towers guy.
The most thing ever. It's like they all took a page out of Larry Silverstein's resume.
There
bro.
we go,
like,
Larry
hey,
Silverstein. I knew it was that
terrorism
nigga.
Insurance and just let the Iranians hit us. We'll make so much money. It's just like it's the most thing ever. But yo, look, you got to give these guys credit, bro. Like these dudes are on some, different type of timing with the Mossad, everything. And truth, I'd like to get your opinion on this because I've seen a rise of YouTube channels doing this, and it really burns my blood. But I've seen like a lot of YouTube channels, right? Like pretty big ones, like putting out, especially in America, putting out like this content where they're like constantly bragging about how the United States has all this air superiority, how they're destroying the Iranians, they're blowing up all their infrastructure and everything. And I'm not really here to argue that. Obviously the United States there's a reason why we don't have health.
Guys, air superiority and air dominance are two different things. They can have air superiority in a region, but that doesn't mean they have air dominance over the whole Iran. So it doesn't matter if they said we have air superiority over Tehran. That means they have air superiority over Tehran. That's it.
Here. It's because we spend quite a bit of money on our military. We have, one of the most advanced militaries in the world. So I get it. They're obviously going to be able to cause quite a bit of destruction. However, one thing that I've noticed is like these guys like are completely misinformed. Like, for example, there's this one guy that streams on YouTube. His name is The Enforcer. And like, I just happened to click on his stream and listen in a little bit. And he was like, oh yeah, so the reason why the Iranians aren't protesting anymore is because they were getting and they weren't getting support from the United States, so they just stopped. And I was like, bro, that's what the I was like shocked that he actually put that. And he had like 20,000 people watching him live. Now, we know it was Mossad assets and literally foreign intelligence services that had went ahead and penetrated into the riots and were agitating. And we have proof of this. We have proof from Israeli television admitting that it was AstroTurf. We have proof from Mike Pompeo's tweet that it was Mossad.
That's really why I wanted to watch Propaganda and Co, because he's actually talking to the Iranian people that's there, and so we would really get a real into Iran of what's going on.
We have proof with Scott Percent, crashed in the Riyadh days before the stuff. They tried to create a very volatile environment for a rebellion, and then when it failed,
Myron, actually Reza Pahlavi confirmed this yesterday himself. He put out a message and said our troops were out there, the Immortal Guard, whatever, and thanked them for those 2 days specifically, and said it was you that went down there and started all these explosions and killings, and you should do that again.
Whoa,
and
hold on. What was that? Who said this?
This is me, McMurcy. I'm from Iran.
No. I know that. I'm saying, like, who was the person?
Reza Pahlavi, the monarch, the son of the last king, Reza Pahlavi.
Okay. You pronounced it in another. Okay, I know. So you're talking about the Shah's son. Okay, got you. You said it so quick.
Yeah.
So he admitted that. Say that one more time. What did he admit specifically?
Yes, you see, yesterday he put up this statement that this is the last fight, and he has said it over and over. But yesterday specifically, he said that you should go out again and start fighting the regime. You should go to the military bases, to the political establishment, and start them and shooting them and burning them and so on. And he said, it was you, my very brave soldiers, the Immortal Guard, Garde Javidan is the name, is actually the military force that is operating inside Iran in cooperation with Mossad and the Americans. And he has said this openly over and over again. And he said that those 2 days, it was you that went out and did all of those damages. And I want you to do it again. Go out there, be prepared, be armed, and do damage. This is the final phase. We need your help now.
Oh, let me guess.
Right,
you
that's
probably
crazy.
said that only in Farsi and specifically like to some type of Iranian outlet, right? I don't think you would say that in English.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in English, but yes, the Farsi is out. It has been translated, but we are speaking Farsi, so we all understand this. And it has actually a surge of messages within the Iranian community inside Iran that you see the Iranian government said this over and over again, that it was them who did this, but now in his stupidity, he wanted to call them to God again, but he made this because he's so he said this is, and it is the confession, because he's literally saying this, that it was us out there and blowing things up. So
what's the name
this
of this
is actually
organization?
what was said.
What was the name of that organization again?
Immortal Guard.
You see, in Farsi, it is named Garde Javidan, which translates literally to Immortal Guard, which is the part of the army back when Shah was alive and actually ruling over Iran.
Okay, let's see what he's talking about. which was the Shah's elite voluntary military force, disbanded in 1979. See? More recently, this term has been used to describe a pro-monarchist dissident network aiming to oppose the current government. So he's not lying. See how that was easy to fucking find? Motherfuckers! Damn it. Easy as hell to find. Dumbass niggas. Niggas be stupid, y'all. I'm trying to tell you, niggas be fucking retarded.
Responsible for the security of the king himself, the Shah himself. And actually, they are the people who are now claiming that we are going to make this transition happen as the military arm of this movement that they are claiming. So all the operations is in cooperation with Mossad and CIA and the American forces Israelis, and they're saying this openly and proudly. They're saying we're getting their help and we will do whatever is necessary. Actually, there was this statement I saw.
And that's just so crazy because the propaganda in Iran is, we have to save Iran, we have to help the people, we have to do this. And it's so funny because I was talking to my dad the other day, and he was like kind of like talking like that because, like I said, he's a boomer, so he only has mainstream media that he actually cares about nowadays because he's too lazy to watch anything else. But oh my goodness, but mainstream media just tells you Iran needs help, the women are press, their government is evil, they just kill everybody, when that's not what's really going on. So it's just crazy how Mossad assets and Israeli agents and agents unit 82, I want to say 8200, unit 8200 assets are running the streets and making it seem as though Iranians are mad and coming up in a protest when nobody is doing that at all. It's the Mossad. It's basically the spies coming up, making everybody, trying to activate the people to make it seem like it's really, they really don't like the government, when in reality it's just a whole fucking psyop. Israeli psyop.
By Ashkan Khatibi, one of the monarchists. He said, even if there are 10 million Iranians out there supporting Iranian government now, we will kill each and every one of them so that they wouldn't be able to stand up ever again, even as a minority within Iran. So we are going to do this by force. And again, they're sending this message over and over again that the immortal guard or Garde Javidan, they should go out and people hit Basij, hit military, IRGC, police, and these inspection posts that are being hit. And there's actually a couple more things I can add to that about the things that are happening here, but maybe because it's outside of the scope, I'm going to get to that later on. But if you want, I can get you an update on that as well.
Do me this favor, McMercy. Do you live in Iran yourself?
Yes, I live in Iran.
Are you like in Tehran? Where are you? Yeah, you don't have to be super specific.
100 kilometers south of Tehran. I'm in Qom.
Gotcha.
But yes, my family is in Tehran also, but very close to Tehran.
Gotcha. Okay, this is actually really good that we have somebody from there. So, okay, let me just make sure I have this all right here. So, obviously, we all know that the riots were astroturfed, and this all started when we talking about this enforcer guy. So, just to recap, enforcer guy's on there. Oh, yeah, the reason why they're not protesting is because they were getting killed by the government, blah, 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 all this other shit. We all know that was a lie. How do we know that? Mike Pompeo with his Mossad tweet, Scott Bessent. We know that the Iranian government responded to the riots by shutting the internet off. Once the internet got shut off, the riots pretty much dissipated. So to circumvent that, they try to smuggle in Starlink devices so they can go ahead and be able to still get connected to the internet. This is, I think, where the Chinese government came in, or the Russian government, and jammed Starlink and got rid of it and stopped it so they could no longer continue to do what they were doing. And how do we know this? Well, on our oversight committee, an open hearing, they admitted that, yeah, we were responsible for smuggling in all these Starlinks. So I think anyone at this point that will concede that the riots in early January were a lie, and then now with what you're telling me, Mercy, that's literally a bombshell. So now we're also finding out that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, because I'm on stream, I want to make sure that my guys understand, everyone else here listening. You're saying, to add on to all of this, the Shah put out a statement in Farsi, basically alluding to a former police force that used to work under the Shah, let's say maybe their Secret Service equivalent. He's the one telling them and encouraging them to rise up and, fight again. And then he alludes to the fact that they had already fought before. So that's huge, dude. That's actually, if you could send me that, and I could check that out. be fantastic.
Yeah, let me just look it up right now, and I'm going to give you a literal translation right now. So just give me a couple minutes.
That's fine. Take your time. And then the last thing, I was going to say one more thing since you're there in Iran. And I want you to be as extremely unbiased with this as possible, right? We know from Western media, they're saying somewhere between 30 to 40,000 people were killed, right, during these riots. The Iranian government, if I'm not mistaken, placed that number at around 3,100 or so. We all know, right? The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, right? Obviously, Iran has an incentive to under report, and then the United States and the West has, a reason to over report. Since you live in Iran, what do you think the actual number is? If you had to be, I guess, as non-biased as you can be.
Okay, let me give you my personal experience, and then you draw your own conclusion. Okay. I went out every night of the protests. I went out some nights alone, some nights with my friends in Qom. To be unbiased, as you mentioned, Qom is one of the most religious, most conservative parts of the country. They are pretty much pro-government, pro-IRGC, almost exclusively. A huge part of the population here is actually pro-government and IRGC, as opposed to Tehran, because they have all these media bombshells all the time, Iran International, VOA, so on and so forth. So there is some, you could say, some part of the population over there that is pro the monarch Reza Pahlavi, and they believe the lies that are being told. But here in Qom, it's not like that. And I went out every night. There were police, there were army members, IRGC members, but I didn't see a single clash. Not death, even clash. I didn't see anything that was resembling even a fight between people and the army. To be honest, I saw one signage on a street that it had some residue of fire on it. It was blackened to some extent, but I didn't see it myself. And I was just going to different parts of the city in order to see something real, but I didn't. But in Tehran, it was real, and we have seen the videos, and I have family members there, and they told me that there were clashes, people went there, and there were actually operations. It wasn't protests. And the video clips that have been released, they show us that there were very few people amongst the protesters out there leading them towards violence, bringing out guns, which are completely illegal in Iran, and it has a very big punishment if you're carrying a weapon, even a knife, and you take it out there. It is like very dangerous. We don't want that at all here. So people were out there with guns, shooting at people, AK-47s and shotguns and handguns. So to be honest, I trust the number of deaths that are put out there by our government. I have no reason to think otherwise, because what I've seen from them, putting out the names, social security numbers, the details, actually blacking out parts of the numbers because they don't want the information to be, abused, but it is completely believable. And there have been some claims, like government was taking money from people in order to give them the bodies, stuff like that. But again, I have been asking people on Instagram and people that were saying that something like this has happened. And I told them that if you give me a receipt or whatever type of confirmation for money being paid, I will post that on my account. I have like 100K followers, so it would get, out, but no one gave me any type of confirmation. So to be honest, I am not actually qualified to say what the real number is. I'm just giving you my understanding, and it is that the number 3,117, that seems to me at least like the real number. I have no proof or no reason to think otherwise.
So just so I make sure I have this right. So during the riots that went down in early January, you're saying you were there for most of it and you were in Tehran yourself?
No. For the riots, I was in Qom, a city 100 kilometers south of Tehran. I wasn't in Tehran, but my sister was there in Tehran. My brother was there in Tehran, but I myself wasn't.
Were your siblings protesting too, or no?
No. You see, in the beginning, there was 2 weeks of protests before it turned deadly. And people were protesting the economic situation because I don't want to get into details.
Well,
but
no, I'm familiar with it. That we crashed. We know, like we crashed your currency. Shopkeepers closed up early. They went to protest to the street. It was peaceful protests up front, and then apparently agitators started getting involved that were a bit suspicious.
Myron, just to add the point though, is that these peaceful protests turned into riots once the infiltrators
exactly
were armed, and then they were destroying property. They were destroying stores. They were destroying mosques.
Exactly.
Yeah, schools.
I knew it was
they did
Mossad.
billions of dollars worth of damage. This was no longer a peaceful protest.
When they started burning down mosques, I knew this is AstroTurf.
Myron, do you know what they didn't touch? They didn't touch any synagogues or any of the Jewish properties or Jewish businesses. Imagine that.
Oh, really? They didn't touch any of the synagogues? They said, wait a minute. We can get rid of these mosques? Send me a bomb. Send me 2 of them. Send me 3.
Dude, of course.
Just to add the point, among those that died were security officers and even volunteers that were unarmed. They were just monitoring the protests until it got violent. And also, Iran was using drones to monitor, and they provided all the footage of individuals throwing Molotov cocktails at buildings and kids. So, I mean, these were thugs and murderers that were hired to do all kinds of damage to property.
Oh my goodness.
And people, and yeah, they were, a lot of them were arrested, by the way, and they also, of course, then went after the Mossad terror cells. When, as you mentioned, what Iran had was a technology, I believe, from, I think it was China or Russia, I forget which, it might have been Russia, and that was to be able to detect the exact frequency that Starlink emits. It's between 10 to 14 gigahertz, and so that's how they were able to detect who's still using the internet, and then they went after those individuals, because they're obviously, well, the Mossad agents that had been trained to carry out these attacks. So they're able to clear out what became riots from what was originally, again, peaceful protests. They were people objecting to the poor economic conditions caused by devaluation of the currency, and also 5,000 plus sanctions they've been dealing with for over 4 decades. Of course, it's very difficult to do any type of international trade or business that you can scale when you're just, stuck and limited.
Guys, you guys said my audio's fucked?
On that trade. Just leave it there.
Guys, you said the audio's give me a 1 if...
No, you're straight. It sounds perfectly fine. God damn, guys. God damn. I told you. But I like that we was able to hear somebody from Iran talk to us about what's going on, because people on the internet swear they just know what's going on from, just watching American news. They don't even go out the way to get the research themselves. They just watch fucking America-led, Jewish-led media like fucking idiots. Okay? So that's why I'm glad we was able to hear somebody from Iran, living in Iran, that sees what's going on. And like I said before, they weren't protesting. Iranians weren't mad. They're not angry over there. They were mad about the economy, but that's understandable. They were doing peaceful protests. They weren't rioting. It's when the Mossad agents came in is when they started to be the agitators. And damn, did I? Okay. Yeah, it was when they started to be the agitators. So, and as soon as they removed the internet, the agitators stopped, the protests stopped. As soon as Starlink came back, they removed Starlink, all that stopped. So it's like, you cannot just, guys, you cannot just go off of America media. You have to go out your way to find other media outlets that are reporting on this stuff, because America's going to tell you what they want you to hear. So using only Fox, CNN, ABC, BBC, using only those are going to get you fucked, okay? Because they're not going to tell you the truth. They're going to lie to you straight to your face and be like, fuck you, accept it. I don't give a fuck if you like it or not, accept it. So, oh my God. Motherfuckers. Appreciate everybody for stopping by today, though. We don't stay too long. We go nice a little hour, get you guys out of here. Don't want to waste too much of your time. I know people are busy. Maybe when we get a little bit bigger, we might go a little bit longer. No diddy. But yeah, I appreciate everybody for stopping by. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Frank for checking in. Shout out to Dav with the follow and Ryan with the follow in the beginning of the stream in the waiting room. Appreciate you boys. I will see y'all on Friday. Peace.
The bitch shaking it, showing it. You this, you that. We laughing at them together. Oh! So stop treating these like they mean something.
Let's go to TikTok.